Would you please stand for the flag salute? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Brett?
Pray with me. Father, we want to thank you for all of your blessings. We sometimes forget just how many we have and need to be aware of the importance of each, that each serves in our lives and in others. Please help our city, state, and world leaders. Their actions speak volumes to all of us. Help them make decisions that would be pleasing to you, and with that would make a positive impact on us all. Thank you for our students, teachers, staff, and parents as we all work together towards a common goal of educating our youth to become good citizens and future leaders. We would also ask that you keep our men and women of the armed forces safe as they serve and protect this great nation. We ask this in your name. Amen.
Roll call.
Dr. Kincaid?
Here.
Mr. Newsom?
Here.
Mr. Riley?
Here.
Mrs. Troop? Present. Mrs. Zimmershed?
Here.
Welcome, everybody, to our Monday, February 11th board meeting. We're going to have presentations of the Employee of the Month and Friends of Education Awards. First one will be our Certified Employee of the Month, Diana DeGain. She out there?
Uh-huh, she is.
Come.
Trent is in another meeting, so, yes, if you'll just.
Well, I get the pleasure. It's fantastic. Diane DeGan has been selected as Certified Employee of the Month. Diane has influenced so many students at West Middle School. She has helped establish rigor in the reading program by researching best practices for many years. Diane is always willing to do the best for our students. She has spent countless hours updating lessons, rubrics, and helping students and staff out. She is instrumental in our ELA Reading PLC. She is level-headed and a great person to work with. Diane is the type of person that feels most comfortable most comfortable staying in the background and letting others be recognized. Now's the time for Diane DeGan to be recognized for her 39 years in education. Fantastic. Thank you for everything you have done for our students and for West Middle School. Congratulations.
Awesome. Well deserved, Diane.
Next one is going to be our Support Employee of the Month, Tina Robbins.
And here is Mr. Murner.
Hello, my name is Trent Murner. I'm the principal at West. Tina Robbins has been selected for Support Employee of the Month. Tina is a valued employee and has been with the district for over 10 years. She began working as a para at the high school with special needs students. For the last 6 years, Tina has been at West Middle School. Tina does a great job working with students with their daily routines and student social skills. She takes on every assignment with a positive attitude and has the desire to meet the needs of every child she works with. She often can be in challenging situations, yet does her best to encourage and direct the students to learn and grow. Every day she greets everyone with a big smile. She is flexible in her approach and is willing to try new ideas that are presented to her by teachers and administrators. We appreciate all that you do and are so glad to have you at West Middle School. Congratulations.
Great job. Our next one will be Friends of Education, Dana and Chelsea Fisher. They out there somewhere? Come on up, Dana. Don't be scared.
All right, I'm excited to have their whole family. I'm Barbara Davis, principal at Washington Pre-K, and I'm excited to have one of my families here that is being presented the Friend of Education. And let me tell you why. Washington Pre-K has been very fortunate this year to have so many wonderful parents in our groups, and they've worked really hard. And I just want to especially recognize Dana and Chelsea Fisher as a prime example of our exemplary parent volunteers. They're the kind of parents that all schools would like to have. They volunteered to pick up and deliver 250 pumpkins to Washington Pre-K for our pumpkin patch in October. They also provided the truck and trailers so our kids could participate in the Ponca City Christmas Parade in December. And Chelsea is currently involved with soliciting donations for our silent auction fundraiser. She attends our parent organization meetings and readily volunteers in her and Dana's help. Dana is a Ponca City police officer, and we appreciate his service to our community and now our school system. The elementary school that gets this family next year will be blessed by their leadership and volunteer spirit. They are truly friends of education, and I'm excited that they have received this award this evening, and then they brought their beautiful children with them, and we are excited they've gotten this award. Thank you.
Oh, yes.
Okay, so,
Don't forget, when you guys leave out here in a minute, we need photos.
so if they want to go ahead
You
and,
can do that now if you'd like.
our
This-
award
we-
recipients, our
Who's doing it?
digital media photographer will be out in the hall, and he will get your picture. It'll be on our website and in the Ponca City News. So congratulations, well deserved by everyone. Never seen him before.
Next item will be presentations from the Pohai mock trial. Zach,
We're gonna let Trout go first.
you're going to let Trout go first? Oh, okay. Trout Elementary School. All right, come on up. You didn't tell me that.
Because I didn't know that they were going to change up the order on this one, but one of our people in the mock trial is going to be our model for the band and groups.
Oh, okay.
No, yes. No, yeah. She does it with her son is seventh grader. Yes, she helps Herbie.
Hi, I'm Wendy Landis, and I am the PE teacher at Trout, and I get the pleasure of also working with the Gifted and Talented program weekly, and I have 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders that are with me today. Monthly, all year long, we do STEM projects. I'm a big proponent for STEM, and we are working currently on bridge designs, and they had to draw their bridge, and they had a certain amount of toothpicks, a certain amount of glue. They had stipulations that they had to have to do this. So I have 5 that are going to present their own actual bridge, and then I have 4 that have done a lot of research on their own favorite particular bridge that they're going to read about. Make sure you say your name.
My name is Allison, and the reason I picked my design was because I thought it was going to be easy, but it ended up being really hard.
My name is Danny. I'm a 5th grader. My favorite bridge is the Golden Gate Bridge. The architect of the Golden Gate Bridge was Joseph Starres, Charles Alton Ellis, and Irving Morrow. The design of the Golden Gate Bridge is suspension bridge, truss bridge, and a truss arch bridge. The year that the bridge was built was July 5th, 1933. The Golden Gate Bridge location is San Francisco in Martin County, California. I like the Golden Gate Bridge because of the color and the design.
My name is Amelia Morrow, and I'm a 4th grader. I did a custom design on my bridge. My bridge was really pretty easy to create, except for whenever I assembled it.
Assembled it.
Oh.
My name is Parker. My bridge is the Turkey Creek Bridge. It is located in Ponca City, Oklahoma, in Kay County. It was built in 1925. The design is a 3-span native limestone masonry arch. It has been replaced by a new bridge. It is my favorite bridge because it is a Parker Pony Truss Bridge, which is my name. The picture shows a new bridge. It is a state standard design bridge constructed in 1940 and built to a length of 80 feet.
My name is Sutton Reynolds.
I chose the Warren Bridge because it was sturdy and durable, and the triangles made a result of it. My name is Callan Covey. My bridge is the Charles Bridge. The architect is Peter Parlare. The Charles Bridge is an arch bridge that was built in 1357. It is located in Prague. This bridge is my favorite because it is my middle name.
My name is Asher, and I chose the Warren design, and I used like 85 out of 100% of all the toothpicks. I forgot to build the leg, so it isn't completely finished. So I chose this design because it's one step harder. I would say it's scale to easy to hard, 0 being easy and 10 being hard. I would say this is like a 3 or 4. And yeah.
And yeah.
Hi, my name is Camper Kirk, and my favorite bridge is the Sydney Harbor Bridge because of the lighting at night. Its architect is Dr. John Bradfield. The design is an arch bridge. The year it opened on is 1932. The Sydney Harbor Bridge is located in Sydney, Australia.
Hello, my name is Ethan. This is the Warren Bridge. This is the Warren Trust Bridge, I mean. The most challenging part, I'd say, was probably the legs.
Hey, can you guys turn around and show them?
Yeah, let's see your bridges.
Awesome.
Oh, cool.
Good. Y'all did a fantastic job.
Great.
We have some great
Yeah.
public speakers. Very good.
Great school, those tubes. Those
And a
colors,
wonderful sponsor. Thank you, Ms. Landis.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming and presenting.
How we doing, Zach?
Yes. Okay, Mr. Murray, we're ready for you to come on up.
She's always nice to me.
Yeah.
But even before, I didn't even know her. She was always friendly.
Good evening. It's nice to be talking to you guys, not as the ACT president for once. So this year at the high school, we started a mock trial team. Mock trial is a state and national program. The Oklahoma Bar Foundation sponsors it in Oklahoma, where students are in the roles of attorneys and witnesses and actually present a case in front of an actual judge with attorneys as the scoring judges. So the students do all the prep work. We get a case that kind of lines out what we're working on that year. This year we are doing a civil case that Ryan's going to give the opening statement for one of the roles that he does that will kind of lay out what that case is about this year. Past years it's been a criminal case. We have rules of competition we have to follow. With the attorney roles, one attorney can't give both opening statements and closing arguments, or you get 20 points deducted automatically. You're likely going to lose if that happens. And then other time limits and things like that. But they have to prepare their statements. We get witness statements, but the witnesses don't really recite those. They have to use that to kind of play that character. And we have to be able to deal with objections as they come to us. So I'm going to let them introduce themselves, tell you what they do, and then Ryan's going to give his opening, and then we'll kind of wrap up.
I'm Ryan Turnipseed. I give the opening statement for the defense, and on the defense, I also cross-examine one of the characters that the plaintiff has. It's the school principal for the school that the defense attended, the defendant rather, and I also cross-examine the plaintiff's expert witness. And on the plaintiff's side, I am a witness their expert witness.
Oh, you're the
Next,
expert
practicing
witness.
cross-examining.
Okay. You are the expert witness, huh?
I'm Samantha Wright. I am an attorney on the plaintiff side, and I direct one of the witnesses, that's the mother of the daughter, and I cross the trainer of the school, that's one of the witnesses for the other side, and then when we are the defense side, I play the trainer.
As in the athletic trainer?
Yes, the
Okay.
athletic trainer.
All right.
My name is Emma Kimbrell. On the plaintiff side, I am Val Gray, the high school principal. And on the defense side, I direct examine the expert witness, Drew Ellis, and our defendant, Kai Conley.
And give the closing.
Oh, yes, and I give the closing.
Multiple
So
rows.
Brian's going to give our opening statement for the defendant side.
Can I do it without a microphone, please?
Project.
I mean, I don't get a microphone in the normal court. May it please the court, members of the jury, Your Honor. The death of Hannah Lannister was a tragedy, but we must not let emotion drive our reason. This has turned into a witch hunt against Kai Conley, the likes of which Joseph McCarthy would be proud. On November 11th, 2016, Kai Conley's friend, Hannah Lannister, tragically passed away. As she approached her locker after a particularly intense game of basketball, she collapsed. The school's main athletic trainer rushed to her aid and performed CPR, but it was not enough. Hannah had already passed away. You will hear from Cameron Myers, that same athletic trainer. She will tell you that she never witnessed any bullying of Hannah Lannister. What's more, whenever she heard rumors about Hannah, her main concern was Hannah's health and well-being. She asked Hannah about them, and Hannah insisted that she was fine. You will hear from Kai Conley, the defendant. He will tell you how these unfair allegations have affected him and about his relationship with Hannah Lannister. You will also hear from Dr. Drew Ellis. He will tell you that Hannah's death was sudden and unexpected and was likely the result from an undiagnosed condition. The plaintiff must show the preponderance of the evidence is on their side. That evidence is not there. We ask that you uphold justice and find Kai Conley not liable for the death of Hannah Lannister.
So those would be our opening statements on the defendant's side. A couple members of our team aren't here. Sierra Urist is one of our attorneys. She is at orchestra practice. Morgan Didlake is one of our witnesses. Connor Winterhalter is a witness on the defendant side. He plays our defendant, and he's an attorney on the plaintiff side. And Matt Yonkers is an attorney on the plaintiff side, witness on the defendant side. We're a small team, so we've got lots of roles that they all fill. We won our qualifying match a couple weeks ago against Coweta and Victory Christian. And then we compete in a quarterfinal match this Friday in El Reno against a Jinx team and a McAllister team. So everyone else gets the day off. We're going to be at the courthouse, leaving bright and early. John Andrew is our attorney coach. He's assistant city attorney. He coached with Owasso's teams for several years and was excited to get it started here. And I actually was on a mock trial team in high school, so I have a little bit of experience with it. Remember things that I can't believe I still remember from so many years ago. But they've put in a lot of hard work and have improved a lot since we started with our first scrimmage a month ago. And so we're excited, looking to add more people next year and hopefully eventually get it as a class where more can be involved, because we've got several who couldn't with it being after school. So.
What grades? Real fast.
They're all sophomores.
Sophomores, okay.
We've only got one senior. Everyone else is a junior or sophomore. And I think they all plan on coming back next year.
Good.
At least I hope they do. They threatened they could quit, but I said, no, you won't. You're having way too much fun. So, thank you.
Trial's not over, huh?
Good job,
Good
guys.
job. Thank you so much. Mr. Newsom, we may have to rearrange a couple of items because Ryan Turnipseed is actually going to be modeling the band uniforms for your consideration for approval, so he has to get changed, and we'll go ahead and do 5.1, and then we may need to jump down to number 8.
Oh, okay. We can do that.
Okay? We also have, this is our last night for our symphony orchestra to practice before state competition tomorrow, so that's kind of why we're juggling things.
No problem.
And Ryan's involved.
We didn't have anything for 4.1, right? Okay. 5.1, consider and take action on the following contract agreements. A is going to be agreements with Evans and Associates Construction Company to repair the Ponca City High School VOAG Farm parking lot and drive. And B is agreement with...
Well, we're going to hold on B.
Okay. How about a motion to approve A?
I'll move to approve 5.1A contract for the Ag Barn parking lot.
Second from Dr. Kincaid. Roll call.
Mr. Newsom.
Aye.
Mr. Riley.
Aye.
Mrs. Troop. Aye. Mrs. Zimmershed. Aye. Dr. Kincaid.
Motion passed.
Okay, we need to move to number 8,
8.
Mr. Newsom.
Okay,
We'll
consent
come back to
agenda.
6.
Make a motion to approve our consent agenda. All right.
I move that we accept item number 8.
I'll
second.
Motion from David and a second from Judy for item 8.1 through 4. Roll call.
Mr. Riley.
Aye.
Mrs. Troop. Aye. Mrs. Zimmershed.
Aye.
Dr. Kincaid.
Aye.
Mr. Newsom.
Aye. Motion passed. Next item will be 9.1, consider and take action on the following district's financial reports. Had a really good report at the meeting.
What are you looking at me for?
Look at you.
Because Robin was in a good mood, so we had a good meeting. No, it was good.
I'll move that we approve 9.1 in its entirety.
I'll second.
Thank you, Robin. Second from Judy.
And yes, we did have a good meeting, discussed a lot of things.
It's all good. We still have money.
Still got money.
No other discussion. Roll call.
Mrs. Troop. Aye. Mrs. Zimmershed.
Aye.
Dr. Kincaid.
Aye.
Mr. Newsom.
Aye.
Mr. Riley.
Aye.
Motion passed. Thank you. Next item will be 9.2. Board to consider and take action on the resolution determining the maturities of and set a date, time, place for a sale of a $1.905 million general obligated building bonds of the school district.
We actually have 2 more sales. After this sale, we'll have one in 2020 and one in 2021. This is a 1.9 million sale. In 20, it's 6.7 million. 21, a 7 million sale. And for this sale, it is a $705,000 acquisition payment and a 1 million technology and 200,000 textbooks for a total of 1.905 million. Now, we are saying that I've talked to all of the board members individually that we're going to set the date for this sale on March the 5th at 12 noon. And Judy, we know you're going to be out of town, but all of the other board members have confirmed in advance.
Got a motion?
I'll make a motion for 9.2.
Thank you, Judy.
I second it.
Second from Dr. Kincaid. Any other discussion? Roll call?
Mrs. Zimmershed. Aye. Dr. Kincaid.
Aye.
Mr. Newsom.
Aye.
Mr. Riley.
Aye.
Mrs. Troop. Aye.
Next item will be 9.3. Consider and take action on the Ponca City Schools District Calendar for the 1920 school year.
Curtis,
Yes.
do you want to talk about that? Any questions from our board?
I think they had a big
We had a good
discussion.
We've
and-
talked about it in all of our committee meetings.
Yeah.
Our calendar, our PCT and our administration collaboratively brought 4 options to our committee that.
He's looking at you.
representing small buildings. In that meeting, there also was the mention of another option that ended up not working out, but the option that's presented in the board report is the overwhelming majority for all parties.
Good. Yep.
Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion
I'll
for
second.
9 point.
3?
What, 3?
Motion by Judy, second by
Me, Nancy.
Nancy. Are you awake over there?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Roll call.
Dr. Kincaid?
Aye.
Mr. Newsom?
Aye.
Mr. Riley?
Aye.
Mrs. Troop?
Aye.
Mrs. Zimmershed?
Aye.
Motion passed. Thank you all.
Let's go ahead and do
Ready?
9.4, and then we'll go back to 5.1B.
We can do that. This is consider and take action on declaring March 1st, 19 as the Read Across America Day in Ponca City Public Schools. Motion?
I'll make a motion for 9.4.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Nancy. Roll call.
Mr. Newsom?
Aye.
Mr. Riley?
Aye.
Mrs. Troop?
Aye.
Mrs. Zimmershed?
Aye.
Dr. Kincaid?
Aye.
Motion passed. All right, let's slip back up.
Okay, we're going to slip back to 5.1, letter B, and if we're nothing else around here, we are flexible to accommodate our orchestra rehearsals and our model. So,
Send him in.
Oh, nice.
Whoa.
Ryan Turnipseed, he was on the mock trial group, is modeling our uniforms, and we'll let Mr. Christie talk to you about the
You'd have
uniforms.
won your case if you'd have had that on. No doubt.
Thank you. And we were using the Fruhoff Uniform Company of Wichita, Kansas. They are a fifth-generation company, 109 years in the business. And I think every uniform we've got for the past 50 or 60 years has been from Fruhoff. When we designed this with a combination of a contemporary look with some traditions. Starting from the hat. When we were at Shawnee, Miss Eric commented later on that they had this nice plume. And
White plume.
yeah, nice white plume. And she didn't realize later on that we had plumes too, but they were black and about half this size. This is a 14-inch French marabou white plume with silver accents. And one of the newest things we do these days is this is an ordinary shako, but it has what we call a hat wrap on it. And you put the hat around, and the neat thing about this is in the future, we can do other wraps. And the whole idea behind uniforms now is lean, tall, angular, make the band look slim, make the band look tall. And this certainly does this. Now, this is a two-piece uniform. It has the bibbers, but if you will notice, the bibbers these days are now cut a lot slimmer. The old bibbers look like you're wearing a diaper. These are much slimmer, much more form-fitting. You can turn around, Okay.
Awesome.
And in fact, this is the stock uniform's 38 regular. This is actually just a hair big for him. The top is a short top, prominently, of course, the logo, on the front.
Good.
It has a rear entrance to it, which makes the front look very clean. Collar is Mylar. Zippers, top quality. They lock in. Only 3 buttons. Not a whole lot of buttons in this uniform. And you'll notice the color design goes here. There's nothing on the shoulders, but then it extends on the back for a very sleek look. One of the best things about this uniform is that it's washable. They recommend probably every 2 or 3 years maybe taking it to the dry cleaners, but this is a washable uniform. If you'll notice, of course, the PC on the side, and these are gauntlets. They add a lot of flash to the uniform when we're in marching position. And of course, these are white with the red and blue striping and the accents on that, and we'll go with white gloves on this also. There's 10-year guarantee on the uniform. We're thrilled. One of the neatest things is the front here, and they have a special process, and they take this they take the blue and they gradually sublimate it down to the black.
Oh.
In the uniform, you want two things. You want big impacts so people can see from a
Sure.
long ways away. And for example, when we're marching towards somebody, we'll look like this. We march away, it'll be a change of mood or a change of look. And the second thing is to have enough detail in it that it looks, you know, you can see it from close up. The PC, also something, you know, the black on the black, seeing Ponca City, Oklahoma.
Oh, tone on tone, yes, it's
Yeah,
hard to
tone on
see,
tone.
but,
Tone on
uh-huh.
tone.
Learned a lot about band uniforms lately.
Okay, all right.
I love it.
But that's, you know, that's, we look probably, some of these be color guard, but I think we'll have about 150 in band this fall.
So we do have about 150 band members. The contract is for 180 uniforms plus 3 drum major uniforms. And do you want to tell them a little bit about the difference in the drum major uniforms?
Yes, as far as the 180, they recommend now, in the old days, they used to measure them in custom fit. But now, what they'll do is they come in, they'll measure everybody, and then they'll get the stock size that's really, really close to that. But, you know, you never know. In the uniforms we got 10 years ago, we had to get additional uniforms 4 years ago because there were so many small people. You know, we ran out, we had to get 10 additional uniforms. They recommend about 25% overage. So, you know, so we're looking at 180. Now, the drum major uniform will look like this in the front. They'll go with a red plume. And one of the traditions we have is a drum major's cape. And the cape will go from here down to here. It will have the PC on the back, and it'll have the same color scheme going from here to the black. Any questions?
So you're saying that the back of that will have the PC on it,
Yes.
on the cape? Okay.
Yeah, the back will have a P. We'll have that. We'll have this, of course, being much
Yeah,
larger.
that'll be nice. Cool. Sure.
Delivery is 120 to 165. Once we get everything in order, we'll get them sometime in July. So we'll have them plenty of time for this football season.
What color did you say the cape was?
The cape is just like this. It starts the blue and then it gradually goes to the black.
With the PC emblem on it?
Yes, sir. PC emblem on it. And the front of the cape, and now the back part of the cape will be red.
Oh.
So that'll add a little more
Okay.
splash to it. So this part, but the part that, as they come forward facing, that will be red. You getting dizzy? That part will be red.
Okay.
The PC on the sleeve is actually embroidered into the fabric. The emblem on the front could actually be taken off if we ever rebrand again. No hurry to do that. So, but if that was ever the case, we could do that. The white gauntlets, the white plume, the white gloves add a lot to general effect that we'll be able to see while our band is performing.
And this is a very well constructed uniform.
It is.
It's the lightweight. I'm sure you guys, the old wool uniforms,
that's
well,
what I used to
weigh
wear.
about 10 pounds.
Right.
This is lightweight, but the construction is very, very good. It's lined, and it's very sturdy, very well put together.
And we've gotten excellent customer service from Kenny Fruhoff himself, one of the sons.
Yeah, one of the sons.
Mhm.
He's the current owner of the company. And I think Fruhoff Uniforms is one of the 3 largest uniform manufacturing companies in the United States. And they're just a phone call, you know, 8 miles away.
Where do we go with the old uniforms?
Well, we can surplus those, and we could actually sell them to another school or donate them to another school if needed.
Okay.
That's what we had done in the past with our really old uniforms. So it's time. It's been 12 to 15 years since we've had new uniforms, so.
Can I say something?
Sure.
You saved our band. You've done a great job.
Well, thank you.
And all of us really appreciate what you do.
Well, thank you very much. Well, can't do it without great administrative support.
Yeah.
You know, it's thank you.
Our band is awesome.
Yeah,
And
you guys
Ryan,
are.
you have been the star of the board meeting.
Yes.
So do you have any plans for your pep band?
Sir?
What about the pep band? You got any plans? T-shirts,
Uniforms.
shirts, anything for them?
We, you know, one thing we do the polos, you know, and the black pants for the warm weather, you know, for the hot weather. And we, we can do that some of the time for our pep band and that sort of thing. We get on the basketball game.
That means important to the basketball games.
Yes.
It is.
And wrestling.
And
We
wrestling.
did a couple
Yeah.
wrestling matches.
Mhm.
We really enjoyed that, so.
That black looks sharp. It just all makes it
It
gets
does,
all
yeah.
together. It gets really good. It gets sharp good.
Looks great.
I think they ought to get
Thank you for
t-shirts or something.
bringing it to us.
Well, thank you. Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
Good job, bud.
All right.
Awesome.
Supermodel.
Thanks so
Good job.
much. Good luck at state tomorrow, Ryan.
Thank you.
No. Awesome. Yeah.
Back to 51B now, agreeing with Farhoff that the Uniforms, Inc. to purchase band uniforms.
Yes.
I'll move to approve B, the agreement with Fruhoff Uniforms for $81,572.13.
Do I have a second?
I second it.
Thank you all. Roll call.
Mr. Newsom.
Aye.
Mr. Riley.
Aye.
Mrs. Troop. Mrs. Zimmershed.
Aye.
Dr. Kincaid.
Great, it passed. I remember the old heavy wool ones that I wore back home
Yeah.
in the band.
What'd you play?
I played the drums. I was a
Percussion.
marching, I was bass, carried the bass drum.
That's just a really nice uniform. I like it.
Let's see.
Ready to move on to number 6.
Reports. Building assessment reports.
So who's up first? Mr. Dilbeck, come on up. Po High.
You were wrong.
I was.
Giving you a little bit longer this time, Mr. Dilbeck. 8 to 10 minutes.
30 seconds. You're giving too much time.
No pressure, no pressure.
How do I get to,
Gong on them.
where is it?
At the top slideshow next to animations.
There you go. Thank you, Mr. Murray.
All the way to your left.
Okay, good evening, everybody. Here to talk about Pohi's current reality, share some things with you. Let's see here. Start out by showing you the how we are graded, what the state is expecting from us with the OK Edge report card there, and break that down for you. You have your academic achievements, which make up 45 points, with your the English, and the mathematics, and the science making up 15 of those points. Graduation making up 10. Then you have the ELPA, or the English Language Proficiency Assessments, which are 15 points. Chronic absenteeism, or how you address that, is worth 10 points. And then, of course, post-secondary opportunity is also worth 10 points. And I'm gonna break all that down for you briefly. Academic achievement. That is our current ACT score, our average for the high school. Now, you'll remember we talked about this briefly last year. Also, you'll remember in years past, our score was higher than that. We used to regularly score in the upper 20s, or about 20.8, 20.6, somewhere in there. Of course, last year was the first time that we've given the ACT to all of our juniors. We tested 311 juniors last spring. Across the state, of course, when you're testing everyone and not just college-bound students, the average went down. We've drawn a line in the sand with that score, and now we're going to work to and try to prove those things, and I'll speak with you about that in a minute. I did do some calling around and preparing for this report. Schools of like size or near our size, and maybe the same socioeconomic. Enid had an average of 17.8. Shawnee had an average of 19.6, but they only tested 248 of their students, so I'm not sure what's going on there. Like I said, we tested 311. And Sapulpa had an average score of 16.8. So we're kind of in the middle of that group. Some of the things that we're doing and working on and improving, of course, you've
we're working on our vertical alignment within the building, and was also going down through 8th grade and down into some of our coursework even at West Middle School. Okay, and then one thing that we've worked on in earnest from the beginning of the year is all new curriculum maps, as it says, they're aligned to college and career readiness, or the OAS, or the Oklahoma Academic Standards, and we finished those by the end of last semester. We had some courses that had fairly new curriculum maps, but we needed to update and make sure that we are all using current standards and aligned in a way that's going to prepare us to be successful on the test. Next, I'm going to talk to you about graduation. We're really excited about this, and I think that perhaps Ms. Cusick's already shared this with you, but our graduation rate, as you can see, is up significantly over the previous school year, up 7.75%, along with our dropout rate being down significantly. Both of those things we're excited about, and if you've paid attention over the years, we used to be well, like I said, 1 year ago, 7.75% lower, but hovering down around in the 80s. And so there's several things we've done to increase our graduation rate, and it's been highly effective, and we're very proud of that. Chronic absenteeism. Kids have to be in school. We talk about that all the time. Kids have to be in school. Something that we've realized at the high school that we are going to make a concerted effort to improve is the success or the good start that our 9th graders need to have. And we're developing a program called the Wildcat Way. You've all heard us talk about the Wildcat Way and what that stands for. We're gonna have a class for our freshmen called the Wildcat Way class. It's going to be made up by a lot of things, but it's basically we're going to teach our freshmen how to be successful, and we're going to try to get our hooks in them much earlier and let them know what it takes to be successful, and also how you can have a better experience in high school. And we're going to talk about our school climate, and we're going to talk about the things that students that are successful do. And then also in that class, as you may or may not be aware, we have the ICAP coming along, which is an individual plan for students so they can be in career planning, and we're going to put that inside this course also. There, of course, is the Wildcat Way. You've all seen that, the big poster that's in the Commons, and all that comes with that, and how we've been using this to try to improve in all of our areas. With that comes the Wildcat of the Week. Recently started. You've probably seen it on Facebook or maybe in the paper. We have some local sponsors who have graciously decided that it's important that we emphasize what is positive and the things that we're doing at the high school. Anyone can nominate a student for Wildcat of the Week. It's all of our students. If they're exemplifying anything from the Wildcat of the Week motto, then they can win this award, and just again emphasizing the things that the majority of our students and they do well. Post-secondary opportunities, again, a part of our report card. Careers and Cookies, maybe you've heard of this one before. It's an effort that we have that we've developed along with the Ponca City Development Authority, where we have local businesses, and it's ways that we're teaching young people how to find jobs, and we're also helping local employers find qualified employees. As you can see on there, we talk about resume writing, career planning, job shadowing, just a few of the things that they offer up there. And we have regular meetings, and sometimes it involves lunch for these kids, and the employers come in and they have an opportunity to sit down at a table and get to know them. Careers and Cookies. Then, of course, is the internship program we started last year. This year, Chad Bodenstein is the coordinator of that program. Students can earn credit through their internship. We pair them with local businesses, as it says there. They can earn credit. There's about 20 students enrolled in it right now. Have there that this is a win-win. It's good for our students. It's good for our community. It's good for local business. There are some of the people, local businesses, who have taken part in the internship program. Here is also, when I wanted to emphasize PTC, because there are some of the programs that our students can get in out there where they earn a certification. And that certification will help us in our overall grade as a post-secondary opportunity. Concurrent enrollment, also, we're measured by how many students we're sending to NOC or up here to UC to earn some concurrent enrollment credits. Okay, you know, when we're talking about addressing our weaknesses, we all want to see, everybody in this room wants to see our ACT score go up. We're doing this through developing common formative assessments, continuing to get better at that, continuing to have better data, and that data will be used to drive our remediation. Also, I want to tell you just very quickly about a new product we have called Open Ed. It's an ACT product so that students can continue, after taking the pre-ACT as a sophomore, students then can have an account with Open Ed, and they can work on their weaknesses from their pre-ACT, and it gives them from about, I don't know, the end of the fall semester of their sophomore year until they take the ACT again as state testing in the spring of their junior year to improve on the areas where they were weak in the pre-ACT. Some of the initiatives that we're working on at the high school, again, video announcements. Mr. Buller and Ms. Jolly are working, putting together this video announcements. If you haven't been up to see their lab, they have up there with their green screen behind it and the work those students are doing, you can get on YouTube and search that. We're slowly but surely trying to make our way to using only video announcements, getting away from the traditional audio announcements, but right now we're still using a little of both. We're still doing our faculty dress-up days as a way to encourage just to have a little fun up there. Our students get a kick out of that. Like I said, they're secret dress-up days, and so the kids never know when they're coming, and it's oftentimes very, very, very interesting. Questions?
Give us your opinion on 6-period class days. I asked you this last year, so I wanted to see how it's changed or if it has changed.
You know, what I'll say is the 7-period day has allowed us to implement some programs that I think is serving our students in a better way than we were in a 6-period day. You know, we've been able to add some in-school wait periods for our athletes. We've been able to add the internship program. We've been able to add some of these things that if we were in a 6-period day, either we wouldn't have enough room to add it, or students wouldn't have enough room within their schedule to be involved in those things with the numbers that we have now.
Any other questions?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bilbeck. Good job. Next, we have Mr. Denton Long from East Middle School.
All right, thank you for having me tonight. Curtis earlier suggested that I open with singing a song, but I just purchased a bass boat and I want to be able to continue to pay for it, so I'm not going to sing a song tonight. This is my second year as the lead principal at the school. I'm really grateful for the opportunity here. So I'm going to start just with our OSTP results from the last year. This is our science. I started with our science because science is our only one that is lower than the state average, but we have a very good reason for that, and I fully expect for it to be higher. Last year, approximately a third of the students didn't have a full-time teacher with them. We had our full-time science teacher was ill. She missed almost every day of the year last year, and so I'm pretty happy with the other two classes. They were able to hold it up close to the state average, and so next year I fully expect that to be back above the state average like it normally is. On our next one is the ELA reading and English scores. This PLC group, the English teachers there are very experienced. They're a great group, and as you can see on the bottom there in the blue and the red, we're the blue and we are 6% higher than the state average. It still seems low, it being lower than 40% passing, but when you compare it to the rest of the state, we're above average. They work very hard. The students love their teachers, especially in English, and they're always working, they're always looking to improving in that class, in that group. All right, and then last here, this is the mathematics score. Again, it seems really low. If you look at the state average for proficient or above is 20% of the 8th graders are proficient or above in math. At East Middle School, we are 24%, so we are higher than the state average. This year, with our secondary PLC group that we're working with Ms. Arrett, this has been our focus. We're trying to figure out what the reason is the scores are so much lower in 8th grade math across the state, not just at East. We feel like there's some stuff's not meshing with what we're teaching in our curriculum and how we're following the state guidelines as to what the test is doing. But again, it is higher than the state average. It's another experienced group. All three of those core classes, science, English, and math, have very experienced teachers, and they're doing a great job in there with their students. All right, changes being considered for next year. At this time, every PLC group, which is our core classes, they have the same plan period, which means second hour of the day there are no English classes going on, or fourth hour of the day there are no math classes going on, because they all have planned at the same time. So they can be a PLC, they can group together and work together, use common assessments, and get everything worked out. It's great for that process, but it's hard on our scheduling. When we make a schedule, those hours don't have a math class, or that hour doesn't have an English class. And so for the next year, I'm going to look at changing that. Now, I'm not going to take away the PLC time. I am going to incorporate PLC time in a planned time during the week where we'd have an assembly for all the students to meet in the gym or the auditorium, and sometimes we'll play games. We call them team games over there. We do that about every 2 weeks right now. Other times we'd have assemblies, we'd have guest speakers, or we just do general announcements about what's going on. Make sure it'll create a time for the PLC. We can take away the alignment of all the classes, which will open up and make our core classes smaller, and then also have a general meeting time for all the students. Another change we'll make is reduce the number in the building leadership team, or BLT. Right now, I've got about 15 members in there out of 21 or so full-time teachers. That's too high, in my opinion. That's not a leadership team. That's just another faculty meeting. And so what I'm going to do is probably reduce that number to just department heads and a couple other teachers for electives, and make that a more intimate group, and so we can get some more changes to get some real discussion going on. And then if the student handbook, I've kind of used the same student handbook that was kind of passed down to me. I'm going to create a committee this semester and look at that and make sure that it's all relevant and it all needs to be in there, and move it on to the next year. And then at the bottom there, if you'll see big wants, these students, they range so much. There's some of them that look like they could be in 5th grade, and there's some of them that look like they could be juniors or seniors, but they still are full of energy. And right now, there's not a good place for a lot of these students to kind of release that energy. So I believe it causes discipline problems. They get stuck in class, they're tired of being in there, they want to get, and so they get antsy, wanting to run around the room and stuff like that. A big want for me would be to figure out a time I could get everybody kind of up and moving. And I've tried to work that out. Haven't figured it out yet, but I am moving because I do see a need for some type of energy release with the students. All right. Last year, we went to the 7-period day, went from 6-period day to 7-period day. I found out later I kind of did that backwards, and I apologize for that, but I do believe it has been successful. Our core classes have reduced in size. We got some core classes that'll have 15, 16 people in them, and they get a lot done in there. Almost everything that I thought I was going to do, it worked out. It increased the elective variety. We've got a leadership class. We've got a recreational reading class, a music appreciation class, and it just really broke that up where all these students are not in core classes all day long. This is a strategy we put in place. This is not a new strategy. It's halftime. Our lunch is divided into two. We have half the students go to their halftime, and half the students go to lunch. During this time, they're able to get reteach and tutoring from their teachers. or work on homework, or the students that don't have access to internet at home are able to work on their online assignments through their Chromebooks, and they could use that. And at that time is about 30 minutes a day that they get to use that in class. It really works out. Or they get retaught if they missed a day. One of the other part we're supporting cross-cultural. We're having the teachers work together more. Science and math, especially, working together. And they do that through their PLCs and through the leadership committee. The next part, Title VI, is working with Jessica Burnett. I don't know how many of you have met her, but she is with Moccasins for Hope, and she is coming in and speaking to students on a weekly basis now with Title VI. And she's really got them interested in cross-cultural learning and trying to bridge some gaps that we have. And then going down there, PLC's, Tilly, and Summit on this professional development Evolve Ed. That was with Drew Eichelberger. He's from Bethany. He's the superintendent at Bethany Schools. I really enjoyed that. He gave us some real good techniques, and I would recommend that to any principal. He gave us some techniques, not just big ideas, but techniques that we could use in the classroom. Science class, we have received a grant, and we were able to get VR for the class. The students can actually put on goggles and go take a tour in Europe or wherever, and they can go through there and actually see it move around. It's almost like being there, and it's really good. A lot of the teachers are using it for English. They're using it for science mostly. We also have intense training with that. Mary James trained everybody on those goggles. They go to the Professional Development Google Summit in ISTE. And like Mr. Dilbeck said, they're also doing vertical alignment with the high school, trying to get everything moving up and try to be as smooth as possible. Also, we purchased new microscopes. I believe there's about 10 new microscopes, and they're really, really good, and the science department is really excited about them. ELA and rating, they're still doing STAR program in IXL. STAR basically is an assessment, see where the students are at compared to where they should be, and IXL is a rigorous online testing, and they can practice on whatever they're learning about in their lessons at that time. STAR is tested every other month, and the students don't do that every month because it'd wear them out, and they'd feel it wouldn't be as important to them. We have a group of teachers that are leaving on Thursday to go to Kagan Professional Development in Las Vegas, but they're going, and they're going to learn a lot of good skills in there, especially for ELA. And then for math, again, like I said earlier, the secondary PLC is focused on math. We're trying to figure out how we can increase those scores as much as possible. We do have a TA for Math Plus. She helps out a lot. It really spreads that out. So there's usually about 12 to 15 students per class. And when we have a TA in there along with the teacher, it really gets that down, and they can get a lot of individual help. And they also have IXL, which is, we checked on the rigor for IXL and math, and it is up there. We have the continued emphasis on the Wildcat Way. Continued that last year. We had the new posters. We got one in our one in each stairway. It's huge. They can't miss it. Every day a student's seeing their Wildcat Way poster. I'm involving staff in more decision making, getting their input more, and trying to see what we can do. Because I'm in my office a lot, or I'm dealing with discipline a lot. I get their input and their expertise so we can make changes to always improve the school. All right, next year, this is going to be kind of my mantra is what I've said on there for the teachers. When you encourage someone, it literally changes their brain chemistry. They're able to perform. It changes how they're able to perform, and it sends fuel to the brain. This Henry Cloud is the author of the book that Ms. Eric's having us do a book study with, and it's really informative. It gives you all the psychology about performance and getting people to do what they want to be. And so when I read this one, I remember this is something the teachers could use. It's not just a leadership thing as in my position or Ms. Satchery's position, but it's the teachers can use. As long as they encourage those, they could get that going and get those students excited about learning. And that's what the biggest engagement strategy we need is just the excitement about learning. All right. Any questions? All right. Thank you.
What kind of boat did you buy?
I bought a Skeeter. It's a Skeeter.
Ranger.
Oh,
Okay.
I had a Ranger at one time.
You need to hook up with Mr. Riley. He's a big fisherman.
Yeah, really.
So is Mr. Long. Okay, I'm going to do a quick legislative update. As you know, the 57th legislature has convened, and this is just going to be a brief review on common education update. And as you know, last Monday on the 4th, Governor Stitt gave his first State of the State address, and he expressed strong support for public education. He called on Oklahoma to lead the region in average teacher compensation. And these are just some of the key highlights. He has proposed a nearly $100 million increase to the State Department's fiscal year 20 budget and no proposed increase to the Department of Career Technology Education. He has also called for a $1,200 teacher pay raise at a cost of about $70 million. That would bring us to at the top of the 6-state regional average. Currently, we're third behind Texas and just behind Colorado. He has also called for a $5 million teacher recruitment program to encourage certified teachers to stay in Oklahoma, to return to the classroom, or to recruit teachers to Oklahoma. And if you'll remember, I gave you a statistic last month regarding the teacher shortage. Every year in Oklahoma, we are having 10% of our teachers who have a decade or more of experience leave the state or the profession. He has also asked that we standardize the teacher certification test and eliminate the 5-year certificate renewal fee. That is a $50 fee every 5 years, and we stay on that every January. We've already let our teachers know whose certificate is expiring. Also, reduce unnecessary paperwork and bureaucracy on high-performing schools and direct resources to schools in need. Reform the education funding formula, which I'm going to talk about with you some tonight, and improve collaboration between education agencies, including Common Ed, Career Tech, and Higher Ed. And it is far too soon to know if the governor's proposals will make it through the legislative process, but we're highly encouraged that our governor and the legislative leaders continue to actively promote an additional investment in public education. And you all know this, I speak with our senator and our legislator, Senator Coleman and Representative Luttrell, at least once a week. They're highly involved and curious of our needs and focused on making Oklahoma the top in education. At this last legislative session, we attended, each year in January, we attend a conference on legislative highlights. And some of the highlights that we think we'll see this year in session in regard to public common ed is a moratorium extension. And I'll give you just a little brief history on the moratorium. When House Bill 1017 came into play, there were some limits on class size and what supports we would have in schools, such as counselors. And when per pupil spending got to a certain level, we would have to lift this moratorium. A moratorium was placed on these requirements of the law 10 years ago. And with the influx of the state aid that were received due to the historic teacher raise this past summer, we have reached that level. So our legislators are requesting a moratorium extension until we reach the per pupil regional average for per pupil spending. We've increased some with the teacher raise money, but we have reached the limit that would uphold the moratorium. Now, we talked a lot about reducing our class size last month, and if this moratorium is not extended, we're even going to have a harder time to fill those positions and get to those House Bill 1017 required class sizes. There is going to be some legislation on public virtual charter schools, transparency and equitability, and I'm going to give you just a little quick lesson on this. I know you're aware, but you know at midterm, you saw this on our midterm adjustment state aid. I know I've talked to all of you about this. It was highlighted in the media that virtual charter schools received 2/3 of the adjusted midterm state aid allocations. And public schools, brick and mortar public schools, only received 1/3. So it was actually 18 million out of 26 million went to public virtual charter schools, and they only account for 2.8% of the student population in the state. And you may ask, how did this happen? Why did this happen? It goes back to our complex state aid funding formula. And I think it's a fabulous formula, but when the formula was developed, virtual charter schools, public virtual charter schools were non-existent. And you all know this. If you don't remember anything about the state aid formula, just remember equity. It's designed so that there's equitable resources for schools that have more local revenue versus those that don't. And you know we have ad valorem, we have our county formel, we have GPT, we have our school land. All of that local funding is chargeable to us. It is charged against our foundation aid. And virtual charter schools have no local revenue. So their money comes right off the top. And that's a problem for brick and mortar schools. We have a lot more expenses than public virtual charter schools. So they are getting the spearhead of the state aid formula because when it was designed, they were virtually non-existent. So I'm going to talk to you about a couple of bills that have been proposed. There's a lot of legislation out there about school instructional hours versus days. And you know that our students have to have 1,080 hours of instruction. There's some talk about changing that to a required number of days so that schools are more on a traditional calendar. You have heard that many schools in the state have gone to a 4-day week, and we actually changed our contract days last year on our calendar from 185 to 180 to meet the other county schools. And I've told you this before, but last year we lost 12 career teachers to schools in our area that are on a 4-day week, or they go a longer day and they may have a 165-day contract. So that's been something that has caused a lot of issues for schools in regard to recruitment with this severe teacher shortage. Instructional costs are going to be addressed. We have more and more students who come to us with needs. We have more ELL students. We have more students being served on an IEP, and it costs more to educate these students. There's also some legislative talk about the pre-K start date age, and right now they have to be 4 by September 1. There is some talk about moving that requirement. They have to be 4 by July 1, and we've looked at our data. 27 of our pre-Kers would not be in school this year if that would have been the target last year. We'll see how that goes. There will be a lot of bills highlighting safety and trauma. The House Common Education Committee actually met last week, first week in session. A lot of times the committee meetings are canceled, but they actually met last week and they passed a bill on HIV/AIDS awareness training. They did some modifications. They passed a bill regarding the modifications to threatening behavior bill. You know, we have a new policy on that. They're changing some verbiage up for potential for at-risk to reasonably indicate, so that there's some substantiation that a threat is at risk. Then on the agenda for this coming week, we have House Bill 1395. This would require additional transparency of virtual charter schools in Oklahoma to bring them in line with the financial transparency rules imposed on traditional public schools. And all brick and mortar public schools want this. We want to play by the same rules. We want the same standards. They do not have the same accreditation standards that we have. In virtual charter schools, one teacher can carry up to 60 to 100 students on a caseload. They don't have to have school counselors. So it's not a problem if they have a piece of the state funding formula, but we need to go by the same rules, and we need to address some issues so that their money does not come off the top, since they don't take in local revenue and don't have chargeables. Also, there's House Bill 1229, which would eliminate the statewide virtual charter school board and require virtual charter schools to report to the State Board of Education. Senate did meet last week, and they passed a couple of bills that are interesting. Senator Standridge out of Norman passed a bill that authorizes local boards of education to enter into a contract with a teacher for up to 5 years. So I'm interested in hearing more about that. Then Senate Bill 158 requires the State Department of Ed, Office of Educational Quality and Accountability to provide free test prep material to teacher candidates. That's fabulous for us. We work with our teacher candidates, and we offer test prep from our end to help support them with their proficiency testing. On the agenda for next week at the Senate Education Committee meeting, they're going to discuss reinstating the moratorium on complying with class sizes, library media specialists, and other accreditation standards until the per pupil expenditures reach the regional average. Oklahoma is about $1,121 behind the region, and our 6-state region would be Colorado, Kansas, Missouri, Arkansas, Texas, and New Mexico. Some important legislative dates to know. February 28th is the last day for a bill to be heard in committee in the House of Origin. March 14th is the last day for a bill to be heard in the House of Origin. And April 25th is the last day for a bill to be heard in the opposite house. May 31st is the last day of session. We do have some advocacy dates. I've talked to you all in committee about our teachers requesting additional advocacy dates, and our teachers will send 2 teachers on the following dates: February 26th, March 12th, March 26th, April 9th, April 23rd, May 7th, May 14th. These will be different teachers. I know Zach sent out a survey last week, and I think he got quite a bit of interest in that. So they will pay their own way to the Capitol. They will go to the OEA office first and access talking points. And when they return, they will provide a summary to all of our teachers and to administration too of their discussions with our legislatures. The COSA legislative briefings have been moved to every Wednesday. They typically were on Tuesday, but the House and Senate Education Committee meetings are on Tuesday this year. So I plan to attend those at least twice a month, and we'll go to the COSA office and be updated on upcoming bills and proposals. Then a day at the Capitol. You may have gotten an email on this. This is OSSBA superintendents and board members meeting with local legislators. We would meet at the OSSBA office. So we're really early in the session, but this is just a brief review of where we're going with Common Ed as far as talks at the Capitol. Do you have any questions for me? Okay, this next slide has absolutely nothing to do with the legislative update, but I wanted you to see this photo. This is our concert hall. We did have some training, some stage light training last week, and Brett actually took this photo. This is the screen that comes down. If you don't know, we have on the agenda tonight for the personnel board report to hire a part-time concert hall coordinator. So I just thought that was a wonderful picture. We're still looking at our orchestra in review concert in the concert hall, February 21st. It is likely we will schedule an open house for that following weekend, either the 23rd or the 24th, but I'll keep you informed on that. Okay?
Good. Thank you.
I don't want to go.
No.
Is it nice?
23rd to 9.5.
Motion to vote to receive into executive session for the following purpose: to discuss possible termination, reassignment, resignation, and employment of personnel on the attached detailed personnel report, to discuss confidential conversations with the board's attorney concerning pending claims and litigation. I'd like a motion to go into executive session.
I'll move to approve 9.5.
Very smart. I second.
Second from Nancy.
Yes, sir.
Robin. No discussion, roll call?
Mr. Riley?
Aye.
Mrs. Troop?
Aye.
Mrs. Zimmershed?
Aye.
Dr. Kincaid?
Aye.
Mr. Newsom?
Aye. We'll be in executive session. 9.8 is consider and take action on recommendations for termination, reassignment, resignation, and employment of personnel. Like a motion to approve 9.8.
I move we approve 9.8.
Second.
Thanks, David. Second by Robin. Roll call.
Mrs. Troop?
Aye.
Mrs. Zimmershed?
Aye.
Dr. Kincaid?
Aye.
Mr. Newsom?
Aye.
Mr. Riley?
Aye.
Motion passed. No new business? I'm not aware of any. No new business?
No new business.
Motion to adjourn.
I'll make it for you.
Second.
Yeah, I'll make it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned.
Hey, Joe makes us.